Hello and welcome to the next episode of What's Good Mzansi with your host, me, Jarette Petzer. I hope everybody's doing well. Today we are joined by none other than Mickey Roothman. She is an esteemed transformational breakthrough coach, author, speaker, strategist, and a podcaster, and was a finalist in the category Woman Entrepreneur of the Year of the prestigious Woman of Stature Awards in 2016. Mickey, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And you, Jarette?
I can't complain. I cannot complain. It's been a great day, and I've just had the most amazing interview with Kusta Jack. I don't know if you know who he is, but he spent some time with Nelson Mandela and Robben Island, and he was part of the uprising in 1976 in Sharpeville, and part of the boycott. So we just had the most phenomenal discussion with him. So it's been a really intriguing day, and just the most amazing stuff. So Mickey, I mean, let's just. Yesterday, unfortunately, we had a couple of technical issues which saw us cut our live video short. So today we thought we'd just pick things up, and we are going to be discussing with Mickey how to create intentional action plans to eliminate stress, fear, and anxiety. And I think that's something that all of us can relate to at this stage. So Mickey, how's things on your side? Tell us what's been happening.
Things are good. At least the sun is shining again today. Don't know what Cape Town's like, but in Gauteng, we've got sunshine for a change after about 3 or 4 days of rain. And otherwise, just, I don't know. I kind of feel like perhaps the whole world out there knows something that I don't. I have a little bit of FOMO right now because I keep hearing cars and people outside, and I'm like, do they know something that I don't? But otherwise, I'm good. No complaints.
Fantastic. I hope these guys are essential service workers and are adhering to the rules of our president, because from what I understand, there's a very good chance that the lockdown period is going to be extended. So I think that's going to add to everybody's anxiety and fears and stress. So maybe this is quite an apt conversation for us to be having at this stage.
Yeah, Jarette, I think that week one, everyone kind of jumped in. That's human nature, is to find the solution and just prepare. And everyone went shopping and did everything they needed to do. But from week two, what I've seen happening, not just with my clients, but with me as well, is reality is starting to kind of set in. It's becoming emotional. You kind of feel trapped. So the fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the being trapped in your house all the time, it's kind of getting to everyone. So yeah, I think it's really something we've got to really be cognizant of in this time, is self-care. Because self-care is a big deal, especially with everything everyone's dealing with right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's definitely creeping in. It's a little bit more difficult to manage. I think the walls start to close in on you if you're not practicing some level of meditation, some level of exercise. At least I've got this outlet where I get to talk to the most amazing people such as yourself, in order to try and figure out how not to go crazy. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to be discussing today. I mean, in terms of how to navigate your way through stress and anxiety, and how do you sort of avert that instead of getting lost in your mind, which one can do quite easily in these circumstances.
Yeah, so I'm all about explaining to people the how and the why things work, because that's really what helped me. I mean, we all know that stress is bad for us, that it makes us ill, and we know the bad side of it, but we don't exactly know why. Like you're saying, for instance, that you can meditate, or you meditate daily, but why should you do it? What's it really doing for you? And I've just found that in my life, and for my clients as well, and for most people, when we understand the how and why things work, the scientific kind of side of it, it gets a lot easier to implement into your life, because it's not something you have to do. And a perfect example of that was a couple of days ago with my mom. She's been trying to get me to take multivitamins for years. I'm just that person, I forget to do it. And she was quite shocked the other day that I was drinking a particular multivitamin, but I said to her, well, someone explained to me the why I needed to drink it. So now I've started taking it. So I think we need to begin with the standpoint of, how does the mind work? Why do we go into stress and fear and anxiety? And the reality of the matter is we're made that way as humans. But it's a mechanism in our brain that's called the fight or flight mechanism that most of us know about. But it was never designed to help us today in the way that it's actually causing us more harm than good. Because back in the day with the cavemen, it really served them, because they needed to go into fight or flight to survive. But for us nowadays, any perceived threat, which could even be your mother-in-law, could send you into, you know, fight or flight mode. And the thing is, if you look at the cavemen, you know, they had a short-term thing to worry about, or that they needed to flee from, or that they needed to fight off. And then it was over. Once you're in the cave, you're safe. Or once you've killed the animal, you're safe. But for us, because it's a perceived threat that we have in our mind, a thought basically, it just lingers on, and that tends to make our bodies ill. So we need to be aware of the fact that we go into fight or flight, and we usually go into fight or flight because of a perceived threat in the mind. So it's not even a real thing. And if you understand how your mind works, it's an absolute drama queen. It's got two personalities, I always say. It's a drama queen, number one, and it's an egomaniac, number two. So once you understand those two personalities of the mind, it's easy to kind of see which personality is it in right now.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think very often people don't know how to distinguish their feelings, you know. They don't know how to distinguish whether they are in fight mode or in flight mode, because the symptoms are exactly the same. You know, you get that weakness in your knees, you're elevated, you're shallow breathing, you start to get nervous and shaky. And a lot of people don't know what that is. And it's difficult for us to process those feelings sometimes. I think that's the one, you know, I did boxing for quite a while. And that's the one thing that really helped me to understand those feelings. Because, you know, the more you do it, the more you put yourself into this environment, the more you start to become one with it. You start to really understand what it is and how it can serve purpose, you know. I think for us, the whole thing is, and I mean, especially with boxing, you look at it and it's a case of, you know, make sure that you're controlling your breathing, make sure that you're focusing on your breath. And you really try to simplify things, narrow things down, and before you know it, you're in a completely different state of mind. Because when you are in that state, that fight or flight state, it's very difficult for you to have any sort of rational output. And we find that the brain, I don't know if anybody knows this, but when you go into the fight or flight mode, your body goes into a natural state of defense. And when that happens, you have certain levels of your brain that start to shut down. Which means that you'll often find people that are erratic and they're fighting and they're screaming. The last thing that was in their mind, they'll keep on repeating it, because literally your stomach has shrunk, your brain capacity is diminished, your body's getting ready for battle. And not a lot of people know that, you know. So it's quite interesting once you start to understand the psychology of those emotions.
Yeah, and on a biological level, by the way, what happens as well is you literally lose your mind, because what your body's doing is all resources is going to your body, to your muscles, because you have to fight, flee. That's what your mind's telling you need to do right now. So your blood, everything that's in you, energy, everything goes to your muscles. It's not even up here anymore, so you can't think clearly. So you literally lose your mind when you're in fight or flight. And I love the fact that you mentioned that boxing was kind of an outlet with the breathing and everything you did, because we'll go into that a bit today as well. But you know, it's really, we need to find a release. And that's what I think we need to talk about today, is how do we process the stress and the fear and the anxiety? Because I think I said this on the previous show with you as well, is that we have about 80,000 thoughts a day, and they're it's our subconscious mind most of the time in control. So you can't control your mind, but you can control how it's going to make you feel.
Absolutely. If you've just joined us, we're talking to Mickey Roothman. Today we're going to be discussing how to create intentional action plan to eliminate stress, fear, and anxiety. To get a little bit more information about this show, or to follow up on other shows that we've done, you can visit us on www.imstaying.co.za, or find us on our Facebook page. It's I'm Staying Media, and you can find this video, which will be up a little bit later on during the course of today. Right, Mickey, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. What are the things we can do to eliminate such things, such evil, dark, lurking things in our minds?
Okay, so I'm going to give a couple of practical things today, and we can maybe discuss a few of them in a bit more detail. But the first thing I want to just say is, whenever you're trying to implement something into your life, like a daily practice, is to really keep in mind that, especially if you are in fear and anxiety right now, you've also got overwhelm. Up here, there's a whole lot going on emotionally, there's a whole lot going on. So it doesn't really help that you're trying to now add something to your life, because it just feels like it's something else. It's more. I can't handle more. So the important thing to do first and foremost, I always tell people, you draw 4 blocks, okay? And in those 4 blocks, what I want you to write down is, what do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? what do I need to do more of and what do I need to do less of? Because here's the thing, you don't just want to add more stuff. You've actually got to look at, okay, what are the bad practices that aren't serving me so I can make room for this? So that's really the starting point. So everything we're going to talk about today in terms of daily practices to relieve stress and anxiety and get rid of it and process it is to really go look at that column and decide for yourself, okay, so if I'm going to implement meditation, for example, what do I need to stop doing to make time for it? Perhaps I need to just watch 10 minutes less of TV or stop watching TV altogether. What must you do less of perhaps to make time for it? So it's really key that they look at just sort of that column to start with.
So, I mean, as far as meditation goes, I think a lot of people have got this strange concept of what meditation really is. And it really comes down to something as simple as saying, right, let's just switch off technology for a couple of minutes. Let's not engage on our phones or on our laptops. Let's try to be in a place of silence and just really come to terms with what you're thinking. And again, I mean, breathing becomes an essential part of that entire process. Maybe just talk us through a couple of ideas that or suggestions that you have in terms of how to have a daily meditation.
So that was actually the first daily practice we were going to talk about is meditation. So you're 100% right. There's, the media has really made meditation sort of a new age and a woo-woo thing, which it really isn't. It actually just comes down to being still. And if you go and look at what the word meditation means, it actually means to just get present and focus on a particular thought. So you're going to choose, what do I want to do in my time of meditation? So it's really more a relaxation technique. Okay, and your mind gets to recover in that time because it's actually getting much needed oxygen to the brain, which is what you're looking for at that stage. We spoke earlier on about losing your mind when you're in fight or flight. So for me, meditation, there's a variety of different meditations you could do, but the basic one that you need to do is to literally just close your eyes. And a lot of people say that their mind doesn't want to go quiet when they're doing this. But close your eyes and just begin to breathe as normally and as naturally as you can. Focus on relaxing your body, and if your mind does go haywire, what's worked for most people is to focus, find something that you hear in your external environment that you can focus on. Either your breath, focus on the sound of your breath, perhaps focus on your chest moving up and down as you breathe, feeling the air in your nostrils as they go in and out, but find a particular thing to just turn your focus to, because your mind will eventually realize that, okay, we're doing this right now, and it'll focus more on that and naturally begin to relax into the process. So a basic meditation is just closing your eyes, breathing naturally and as comfortably as you can. In one of the other points, we'll talk about breath work, which is a fantastic thing to do as well. And you don't have to do it for half an hour. You can do it for 5 minutes, you can do it for 10 minutes, but just focus on relaxing your mind and your body and just breathing naturally for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it's something that you really start to adapt to with practice, like everything else. If you practice it, I mean, even if you can silence your mind for a minute on the first day and then 2 minutes on the next day, and before you know it, you can go into a state of meditation that can last 20, 30 minutes. And it's really just about practice, right? You just got to practice and take it easy and cut the distraction. When I started doing my meditations, which I haven't done for a while, admittedly, but one of the things that I focused on was just breathing. I mean, breathing was the most simple thing. Focus on your breath going in, focus on your breath going out. And then started attaching things like focus on negative thoughts in and positive thoughts in and negative thoughts out. And slowly but surely you start to really get into the hang of it. And before you know it, I mean, you can go into these states of, just being above sleep. And you come out of that just feeling fantastic, absolutely invigorated, refreshed and renewed and ready for the day.
Yeah, and I mean, really on a scientific and biological level, once again, you're sending oxygen to every cell and everything in your body in that moment just by breathing. And that actually brings us to the second one, which is intentional breathing. And there's a lot of techniques out there right now. It's called breath work, but there's a basic one that's really worked very well for me. And it's nice that you can just do it anywhere at any time. Nobody's really going to know you're busy doing it. So if you're in front of someone, you're welcome to do this if you're in an argument. But basic breath work is controlled breath work. So it's really deciding how you want to breathe. And the one that I do, for instance, that really within seconds you can feel the difference in your body is for about 4 counts, you inhale through your nose and you hold it for 4 counts. And then as you exhale through your mouth, you literally release, you let go. If there's a sound that wants to come out of, thank gosh, let it come out, but on the exhale for 8 counts. So it's literally 4 counts in, hold for 4 counts, and then release for 8 counts through the mouth. And it does wonders for your physical state, your mental state, your emotional state, even your spiritual state. So it's an amazingly easy tool to use on a daily basis, several times a day.
Fantastic, fantastic. And what's next? What's the next practice we can put in place?
So the next one's quite fun, but very few people understand why they should be doing it, and that's visualization. So what we need to understand about visualization is it's really what you did as a kid. It's daydreaming, okay? You can do it with your eyes closed, you can do it with your eyes open. But with visualization, pretty much what you're doing there, your mind does not know the difference between reality and fantasy. It thinks that it's really happening, whatever you're thinking. And the key focus when you are visualizing something, there's 2 things we need to keep in mind. The first being, don't focus on just seeing the picture, focus on the feelings. How does it feel to have that life you want or to be in this better state? Whatever it is you're visualizing, so feel the feelings, what it feels like, focus on that rather, but also visualize from the standpoint of whatever it is you want has already happened. Because a lot of people tend to visualize more from the space of, here's where I am now, and I'm going to visualize how I'm going to get there, which is the wrong thing to do. You kind of want to visualize the end result and how that would feel, and literally allow your body to already experience it like it is happening right now. And there's so much awesome scientific proof out there. I mean, I'm sure you've heard some of it as well. With athletes, for instance, where they hook them up to computers to check what's happening in their body and their mind, and they make them actually rehearse their Olympic items. And every single muscle in the body fires off. That would usually fire off if they were actually running their race or doing their items. So if you want to have some fun with visualization, if there's a skill you'd like to learn this time, but you can't go out and do it, like you want to improve your golf swing, just visualize that swing being perfect and how it feels, and watch what happens when you're done with the lockdown and you actually do it physically.
Sure. Well, our winning Springbok team last year did exactly that. They actually planned for the day after the Rugby World Cup, and that day after was actually doing the victory tour. Now, they'd had the whole thing planned out, and they focused on that entire process. They focused that entire process throughout the World Cup. We only got to learn about that afterwards, but it was just amazing to me to understand the power of that. So you're starting with the end in mind and not starting at the beginning.
And you can actually, you know what, you can do it daily. Something that I do, for instance, in the mornings is I visualize how I want my day to go. So I kind of run through my whole day the way I see it happening. I see my end of day, how it feels to have accomplished the stuff I wanted to accomplish, and having had the awesome day that I would like, because it's intention setting for the day.
Absolutely fantastic. Really, really powerful stuff. What's next? Tell us what's next, Mickey.
So next one is something that not everyone likes doing, but it's mostly because we don't understand how to do it and we've gotten too used to computers. But that is journaling. Is literally to take a pen and a piece of paper or a book.
You mean blogging?
And just,
you mean to be a blogger?
No, don't use a computer. There's actually scientific reason why you've got to write it down. So
they even make pens anymore, Mickey.
Eh?
They even make pens anymore.
Yeah, they do. But I mean, I use a pencil, by the way, because it takes me back to my childhood in grade 2 when you had to use what was it, 2HB, I think it was. So what happens when you're journaling is a couple of things, really. So it's one of the easiest ways to get what's up here out, because a lot of times we don't even know what's going on up there. Something's bugging you, but you're not really sure what. And when you literally just put pen to paper, or pencil to paper for that matter, it tends to just flow out as you write. And when you read it afterwards, you're sometimes a little bit shocked as to, oh, okay, I didn't realize this is how I feel about it. And there's a lot of profound wisdom that usually comes through. But on a scientific, more biological level, is what's happening there is you're also engaging your senses, because you've got touch, you've got smell, because you can smell the ink, or you can smell the pencil, the lead. You've got sound, because you can hear it moving across the paper. So it's really very therapeutic to do, and it's actually becomes fun once you try it a couple of times. Especially now when we're all on computers all the time.
Yeah, indeed. I think psychologists refer to it as thought crystallization, and it's been something that's been spoken about for many, many years. It's about taking the thoughts and the processes in your mind and actually putting them into a crystallization, which would be putting pen to paper and actually creating a very clear and visual reference in terms of what's going on in your mind and putting it down for later reference, which I think is fantastic. I mean, I haven't done that in a very long time. In fact, I don't even know if my hands still work with writing. Maybe I should
I love calling it a mind dump, because that's really what it is. It's cleansing your mind, because you're just getting everything out that's up there.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, that's some really, really cool advice. If you've just tuned in, we are talking to Mickey Roothman, and we are discussing all matters related to avoiding anxiety and navigating your way through stress and fear during this time. I think it's quite apt, considering the fact that we're in lockdown, and some people are dealing with things on their own. They've got nothing around them. Other people have got too many people around them, and they're trying to deal with that. And people are concerned about their economy and their jobs, and there's so many things for us to get lost in thought in this current stage. If you'd like to learn more about these interviews, please visit us on www.imstaying.co.za. Alternatively, you can go to our Facebook page, I'm Staying Media, and you'll be able to catch this video if you've missed this one. Thanks so much. Right, Mickey, hit the next one. What's next?
So the next one's a very easy one to do, but I think there's one or two things we can tweak there, and that's daily gratitude, because it's been actually scientifically proven that we as human beings, our vibrational energy raises when we're in gratitude. So it's a higher vibration than stress or fear or anxiety. And a lot of times what we tend to do is we kind of go into this little list. We begin with gratitude and we're like, I'm so happy and grateful for, and then we just ramble down a list. And what I've found really effective is two things. Is the first thing being that in the moment, wherever you are now, because this helps you to get present as well, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if you can literally be grateful for what's around you right now in the present moments, that's the first thing. And then the second thing is choose one thing. If it's your mom, if it's your sister, if it's your kids, whatever it is, take that one thing and actually go deeper into that and be grateful. Decide what you're grateful for that person or that thing. In other words, instead of it sounding like, I'm so grateful for my house and my car and my this and my that, you're going, I'm so grateful for my house because it's got a beautiful porch and I love my couches and it's safe and it's got sanitation and it's got, so run down the list of stuff you're grateful for in that thing or that particular thing. So gratitude really is a fun thing to do as well. You will actually feel how you feel mentally, emotionally, physically after doing that.
That's fantastic. I mean, gratitude, the way that you're describing that practice would be very similar to visualization, because you're really extracting the finer details of the things that you are grateful for, which I love. I think that's a fantastic exercise. And I just think in terms of gratitude, you know, it's so much easier to set your mind in the right direction when you are in a state of gratitude, because it's often the case that when you're in a state of anxiety or in a state of stress or feeling angry, that's the sort of energy that you'll put out to people that you speak to and things that you do. And you'll find that very often things just don't go your way. Whereas if you're living in a state of gratuity, very often the way that you approach everything and everybody is very different, and you end up getting the desired responses that you so yearn for. What else do we have? I mean, what other recommendations do you have, especially when it comes to dealing with fear? I mean, I know these are fantastic practices, and there's a lot of practical application here. But I mean, let's talk about people's fear and understanding of fear.
So here's the thing: is most people believe exactly that. They think that, okay, I've got fear. How do I get over my fear? And the reality of the matter is it's neglecting doing some of or all of these things on a daily basis that's really creating the fear, because fear comes from a couple of things, but predominantly it's coming from the fact that you are either somewhere in the past, remembering something else that happened that is similar to this that you're fearing right now, or you are future tripping. You are telling yourself a story about something in the future that you have zero proof of is going to happen. So that is really what's creating the fear, along with a whole lot of other stuff. And you know what happens is when we're not doing these things on a daily basis, you're just creating more momentum behind that fear. So it's actually just snowballing and snowballing and getting more and more and more and more. And that's why I say, like, there's a lot of things you can do to get out of fear, but it really comes down to our daily practices. And if I have to nail it to three things, I think in my life and in my practice, what I've seen is there's kind of three things that can cause any area of our life to feel out of sorts. The first being that we've forgotten who we are. And what I mean by that is you think you're this puny little human who's going to try and make things work on your own. You're not supported. The second being that you are somehow looking externally at the circumstances or the details of the story instead of turning inward. And number three is your daily practices. You don't have daily practices in place. So that's really why people's lives fall apart sometimes, or we don't handle the stuff that's happening on a daily basis.
Fantastic, Mickey. Thank you so much. And if people want to get hold of you to discuss issues or challenges that they're facing, how do they reach you, Mickey?
They can reach me on my website, www.mickeyRoothman.com, or on social media, Instagram, Facebook.
Just those two?
Yeah, it's the best way to reach me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I see you plugged in there 24/7. All right, fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mickey Roothman, some really cool, really fun, and really practical ideas in terms of keeping yourself sane during these insane times. Mickey, thank you so much for joining our show. Really appreciated having you as always, and we look forward to our next discussion.
Thank you. I want to add one last thing before the guys go, and this will help you to implement this, because it's not always easy. I mean, you're trying to retrain your mind. It's on autopilot already. So if you really want to begin to implement this stuff, aside from doing that little column that I spoke of at the beginning of the show, is to set hourly reminders on your phone. So literally set a reminder for yourself that says get present. Set a reminder that says intentionally take a couple of breaths. Just close your eyes and meditate. Be grateful, whatever it is, because your day will happen. Stuff happens around us all day, and that's just it's an easy way to remind yourself who you want to be at the end of the day. It's an hourly reminder on your phone. I
can see for the get present, everyone's going to be like tying themselves to takealot.com or something. Get present, fantastic. I'll buy myself this. Anyway, jokes aside. Mickey, thanks very much. It's been wonderful having you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to catch this a little bit later on, it's go to www.imstaying.co.za or go and visit our Facebook page, I'm Staying Media. Mickey, we'll be chatting to you soon, and take care. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye-bye.